Welcome to Taste Buds. I'm Debra Eckerling, goal strategist, writer, and foodie. And today I'm speaking with Elizabeth Mehditach, founder of Lisa Michelle Lifestyle. Welcome, Elizabeth,
Thank you. Hello, happy New Year.
and a happy new year to you. I say any time of year is a great time to set those goals or those resolutions. And most people have already ditched their resolutions because it happens. Oh, what can people do to, like, get back on that healthy eating, a healthy lifestyle train?
Well, that's a great question because of course I struggle with it too. I'm a consumer, I love the marketing, the candy that's at the register, I fall for all of that. So, I think for me what I tell myself is, you know, if you get off the wagon, if you have a cheat day, just get back on. Just get back on. Just start small and the next meal you have, make it a healthy one. Instead of dry January, just do dry Mondays or dry Monday through Wednesday. That's kind of what I'm doing right now because the weekends are a time to unwind and wine and food pairings are delicious. There's just no way, to say that it's not. There's just no way around that, And I'm all about wine and food pairings and I'm all of, the scrumptiousness of food and how it brings people together. So to X out or delete one of those ingredients would be sad, and life is about being joyful, and it's about celebrating.
I completely agree with you. Where did your love of food and this career come from? Because you are a chef, so you don't just cook for yourself and your family. You impose your love of food on other people.
I impose it on other people, I do. It absolutely came from my grandmother and my mother. It's a cliche, but it's true. Food is my family's love language. It's all about eat, eat. If you don't eat, you don't love me. It's so messed up. We all need therapy, you know? But it's absolutely the truth. But for me, I take it even further, especially with what's going on in the world right now, especially within, the Middle East, and it's our cultures, if we sat down together with open minds, provided it's the proviso here and the caveat. You have to sit down with open minds and willing to talk. If we sat down together over food, we would find that we have more in common with each other than not. And especially within the Mediterranean is a gateway to so many cultures and peoples and heritages and languages and cuisines.
What is your Jewish background and how has that influenced what and how you cook?
So, my Jewish background is my parents are immigrants. My father passed several years ago. My mother is still alive. She just turned 89 and she's still cooking away. She's my sous chef. She's from Tehran, born and raised in Tehran, Iran, then married my dad, moved back to Israel. My dad was from born and raised in Jerusalem. And then in the 60s, moved out to sunny Hollywood, California, where my brother and I were born. And of course, I grew up amongst Latin American, Asian, Italian. My father lived in Italy for many years, so Mediterranean food in that respect was very much part of my mother's repertoire of, food on the table every night. But those flavors really, sparked joy within me. And then I discovered through cooking, just to feed myself in college, that those flavors meld so well together. Iranian food with Asian food. We share the same herbs in all of our food, mint, cilantro, dill, parsley, all those wonderful herbs we share. And they just go beautifully together. So that furthers my point about how food brings us together.
That's awesome. So what is Lisa Michelle lifestyle? What does that mean?
So for me, it's more of a lifestyle too, because we all California is probably the Los Angeles coastline, the California coastline is very similar to the Mediterranean coastline. And we everybody, just not even LA, all over the country, we all crave all over the world, we crave that Mediterranean, easy breezy, hair loose in the wind, sunbathing on white sand, we crave that. We crave eating olive oil and olives and feta cheese and pita or flatbreads. We crave fresh tomatoes. Um, there's something very wholesome about that, very authentic, very organic, to use buzzwords, but also very sexy because it's just the real deal. It's the real food, the real ingredients. When food is done right, you're just showcasing the ingredients. You're not doing anything to them, and that for me, the lifestyle also includes my passion and love of fashion, film, food, fun, my favorite F words.
Whether they live here or not, uh, what are certain things that they can do to incorporate better flavors and healthier foods into their routine?
A physical trainer will tell you when you work out with them, stay on the outer rims of the supermarket. Don't go into the aisles. You want to stay when you're eating, when you want to eat healthy. So it's all about whole foods, just done nothing processed. So a note to take into account is, something that we may not even think about is that bread is highly processed. So what is a better bread to incorporate into your diet? Sourdough bread, because it's fermented. It's made from, creating your own mother, as it were, your own yeast, right? Um, it's just really sort of taking the time, which isn't a lot of time, to just you can bring it up on a Google, search, to really know what are whole foods, what does that even mean? And stick with the outer rims of the supermarket, incorporate more vegetables into your diet, um, stick to savory breakfasts instead of sweet breakfasts because that'll just spike everything in your system to say, I want more of the sugar, I want more of the carbs. Um, yeah, I think that's, some of the best ways to start.
What is your definition, though, of a savory breakfast?
So, anything with protein. So, staying away from, sugary cereals, protein bars even, that they are lauded of having high protein, but there's lots of sugars in there. Sticking with pure yogurts, Greek yogurts, that there's no added sweeteners. You can add a little bit of honey to it if you want for taste, but you wanna stick with a high protein, and it doesn't have to be, the first thing when you wake up, because that's sort of a misnomer as well, waking up and having to eat. It's just whenever you feel hungry, that first meal should be an egg, is some kind of meat. It could even be chicken or salmon. And you look at entertainers like The Rock or big bodybuilders like that. They eat, clean protein as their first meal. They're eating chicken and salmon. Now, I'm not saying you have to go that far, but there is an intelligence to that that's saying it's going to keep your glucose levels low. Now, I'm not a scientist, but I follow one who's taught me all of this, and won't have you craving sugary carbohydrate foods, those chips, that soda, even pretzels, even though that's a cleaner carb. You want to just stick to yogurt, cottage cheese. Those are great protein snacks. I'm saying all this and I'm taking my own notes.
And when you go to the grocery store, what are some of the common things in your cart?
Oh, for sure, garbanzo beans, are a big staple, vegetables, big staple, cheese, yogurt, sourdough bread. I make my own bread too, and so there's a difference. If you're During the pandemic, everybody was making bread. Everybody was really healthy in that respect during the pandemic. Um Definitely sourdough, chicken, turkey. I love ribeye, so there's definitely steak in there. Salmon. I love whitefish. Easy, great ways to I can share how to prepare whitefish that goes with great Persian rice, like recipes I can share, Iranian rice dishes, basmati dishes. I definitely stick to the outer rim. Of course, I get the chips or I get the tortilla chips and I get the salsa and we have taco night. I'm not restricting myself, but most of my diet is that peripheral rim of the supermarket, keeping to those tomatoes, bananas.
You can have your cheats, but then just make sure your next meal is that healthy because it'll make you feel better. I mean, that's the thing. We love the taste of things that
Yeah.
aren't so good for us, but there are foods that just make us feel good, and they're
Yeah.
usually the healthy ones.
Yeah. Yeah. And, even the word healthy, what does that even mean? It just goes back to the foods in their true state with nothing added to it. Eat a tomato off the vine with a little salt, with a little olive oil. Boom. That's a great snack. Have an egg, have a, soft boiled egg, have a piece of turkey, have a piece of chicken. It's just nothing that's been processed. So that's really what it's about. We've convinced our palates that just a raw tomato doesn't taste as good as a potato chip. Yeah, it's true. But it's all about habit and it's about retraining your palate, retraining your body, retraining your mind.
Do you have an easy, healthy recipe?
I have a wonderful quinoa salad recipe that's so accommodatable. You can take things out however you want to build the salad. And it's basically taking the quinoa, feta. Feta is a great cheese for our non-dairy people because it's made with sheep's milk, and it's got a little salt to it. It's got a little tang. There's your protein. Obviously, quinoa is high in protein. It's also a carb. It's a grain, so it's satisfying that urge um, with grape tomatoes. And then you can add grilled chicken to it. You can add garbanzo beans. You can add a diced up egg to it. And it's just lemon juice, olive oil, salt, and pepper with a little bit of garlic powder. And that's just a great lunch, great side dish to like a salmon dinner. Really easy. I like to add grapes to it too. Grapes are in season right now, and they're those, cotton candy grapes that are really sweet, so you don't need very many of them. So you'll get a pop of sweetness, a crunch. It's all about those textures and hitting those different notes of salty and savory and sweet, crunchy and smooth, cool and hot. That's what it's about. That keeps your tongue entertained, your mouth entertained, your brain entertained while you're eating, and you think you're eating something exciting that's actually really good for you too.
I agree. I think adding fruit to a salad just makes it better.
Yeah, it's just exciting. It's like, "Ooh, that's different." It
And it's something that's sweet while still being healthy. And I love that all of the ingredients that you listed are things that you get on the outside aisles of the grocery store. So,
Exactly.
not only a good recipe, a great example. Do you have any final food for thought on incorporating more good slash healthy into your life?
I think just, be easy on yourself, have patience with yourself. I think I tell that to my children, be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself. I'm certainly, a culprit of not being kind to myself. I'm very critical. And I think that's something that I'm learning to lean more into is being kinder to myself. And I think that it starts with loving yourself. And that's very hard, right? It's very hard, especially for women. We're not brought up in that culture. That's a whole other podcast. I think a great tip to share too is for people who are sort of hesitant or a little intimidated from going into international markets, supermarkets here in LA, we have a plethora of international markets, whether it be Asian, Thai, Chinese, Japanese, Hispanic markets, and also Middle Eastern or Southeastern Asian, like India. I highly recommend making a field trip of those markets, far more affordable, so much to discover, a world of flavors, and it's a great way when you live in a cosmopolitan city to get to know other cultures, and understand other people.
And for those who don't live in LA, if they live
Yes.
in smaller towns, how do they find these resources?
I would absolutely Google, or search whatever your search engine is. I don't wanna give them all the business. The specific ingredient that you're looking for. Say you can't find like, I love Valbrosa feta cheese. It's a French feta. It's creamier, it's smoother, it's not as salty. It's a little pricier, but you can price it out. International foods have become common staples. It's not the 1970s anymore. People are very savvy about foods. And what better way, everything is at your fingertips now on the internet. You can search it up and you'll definitely able to find it. And if there's a market, international market nearby, get your kids in the car, take your buddy, take your spouse, take your partner, make it a field trip. And most of these markets also have hot food stations or hot food bars. And it's a great way and an inexpensive way to explore different foods as well.
Awesome. And I would imagine big grocery stores, even though it's not the same, but they all have an international food aisle.
Yes, definitely.
An alternative place to take a field trip, maybe not as fun and exciting, but the results will be similar, right?
Yeah, check the international food aisle. I mean, there are certain food aisles in the supermarket that I do go down and that, I will, traverse. And that those are, the international food aisles. Those are the canned food. Beans are a great staple to have in your pantry. And in a minute, you can make a salad. You can have beans in a taco in a wrap. I mean, there's so many ways to access your pantry and make a meal. It's another show. But I'll also, the pastas and the grains happen to be, the rice happen to be in those center aisles. The freezer section is also a great place for resources. Frozen vegetables. I've even read that, frozen broccoli has the higher content of the vitamin C's and the minerals of vitamins that you need. Than if you had just blanched them at home and, and not like microwaving, I think is better. Like there's all these things you can learn about, frozen foods that are great to have in your freezer pantry. Not the frozen prepackaged foods, I would
Right.
stay away from those, but the frozen, like, fruits and vegetables, if you're making smoothies at home, there's all the frozen fruit in the frozen fruit section. Save your $10 for a smoothie at the store, make your own at home.
Easy, and you will feel healthier. And when you feel healthier, you want to eat healthier. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for this wealth of knowledge in making eating a healthy fun, especially with the reward at the end of it. Where can people learn more about you?
You can visit my website, lisamichellelifestyle.com, and Lisa is with Liza, like Liza, but Lisa. And my Instagram is at chef period Lisa, Leza at Instagram.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again for joining me. Thank you for tuning in to Taste Buds with Deb. Don't miss an episode. You can subscribe on YouTube or iTunes or your favorite podcast platform. And if you go to jewishjournal.com/podcast, you can get the recipes and read the articles that go with each episode. And you can learn more at tastebudswithdeb.com. So go be healthy. It's fun and you will feel good. Until next time, bon appetit.